I think the best thing I ever did was say this dream out loud to the people who care about me the most. And when you're stuck, you raise your hand.
Having someone that can be there with you to navigate that without any sort of judgment.
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Whitney. This is the Use Your Fear podcast.
Welcome to the Use Your Fear podcast. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Whitney. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about how fear gets turned into advocacy, especially for autism. So today we have Meredith on, and we are going to be diving more into the world of autism and find out her story. So welcome, Meredith. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. So would you like to give kind of your little elevator speech about who you are? And yeah.
Okay. So I am a teacher. I have a 15-year-old son. He was diagnosed with autism just before his 3rd birthday. My biggest things for him were, what can I do to help him? Like, how can I make the world better for him, for others, for how can I make sure that he's getting everything he needs and not just him? And what about the kids that don't have resources or things like that? And so that's just what I've been doing for the past 13 years.
Where do you put yourself into that? I didn't hear anything about you.
So my goal is to make him independent so I can have time for myself one day.
No,
So
Meredith,
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Meredith and I have worked together. We volunteered together at Autism Speaks before. We've done media together. I know her son. Her son is the best. I think the last media tour thing we did, he brought his Godzilla around and he had to have that at all times, and it was the best. And I just really love working hip to hip with Meredith on every, from media to the events that we do in the community. And she's always that bright smile every time that I go to an Autism Speaks event or meeting. So excited to have you on today, Meredith. Meredith, what was it like, almost like before Alex's diagnosis? Had you ever heard of autism before? Like, to run us through that journey.
I had not really heard much of autism. The only thing I knew of autism was basically Rain Man. Alex was a little speech delayed, but physically he was fine. He was hitting all his milestones. He was a huge baby. He was 10 pounds when he was born. He was wearing 18 months clothes when he was 9 months old. He was a big rough and tumble baby. At about a year, he started to kind of plateau on development, and the pediatrician said, and we all thought at the time, oh, he's just plateauing. Their babies do this, they get to a point, then everybody else kind of catches up. This is when they start to level out. It's like, okay, good, that's fine. He's gigantic. Maybe I can carry him around for a little while longer. And then as things started to progress, so the speech was never really there. He would babble, but he wasn't speaking. He wasn't saying words. And like, he wouldn't even say like mom or dad. It would just be like, bah. Like, it would just be the first consonants. And then, so I knew he was speech delayed. So we took him into the school district for testing. And I just thought we were going to go in, get some speech testing done, do some speech therapy, catch him up. He'd be great. I walk in, they're doing the tests, and one of the diagnosticians looks at me and she goes, he has autism, right? And I was like, no, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, he's not autistic. He's verbal. Like, he does make sounds. All I knew was like Rain Man nonverbal. Like, I don't understand. And she's like, no, he's like, well, we'll give you the paperwork when we're done, but you need to think about that. And I walked out of this meeting with no information, just this diagnostician going, he has autism, right? And I'm just like, okay, where do I go? Like, what do I do? And so that was the start of our journey. And it was
wow.
scary.
I'm shocked. Like,
now they legally they can't until everybody has made their group decision. They can't give me the paperwork. They can't give me the information. I think she was like asking me, hey, right? Like, are you getting something done about this? I don't think she knew I didn't know at the time. So
Okay.
it was a lot.
There's so many kind of similarities early on between my son and yours. So my son, he was born a month early at 7 pounds. And they're like, if he would have gone full term, he would have been 10, would have been a big baby too. Speech delayed. We got him into speech therapy through the school system at 3. That was a really hard process for us. And I don't know if it was just our school district, but I had to fight and push to get things rolling. It took almost a year to get him even in to be evaluated for speech therapy, because everyone would be like, he just speaks gibberish. And like, I think I was probably the only person that could understand him. So just in that aspect, what was your journey like, just trying to even get in with the school district to find some answers?
Luckily, I did not have that struggle with the district. I took him in because you can take them in 2 months before their 3rd birthday. I took him in, I made the appointment for the day after that set time period. And they immediately said, hey, you know this, right? His birthday was in May. So by the time all the paperwork and everything got done, it was like the middle of May. And it's like, I'm not going to start you in school for 2 weeks and then have to start over again. So they immediately set it up for him to be in PPCD 3, so the 3-year-old class, immediately starting the next school year. They gave him speech and occupational therapy, and I wanted more time for both, but the school districts are limited on what they can do legally and all the other things that go along with it. And so at that time, I began looking for outside help as well. And honestly, I ran into more barriers with insurance than I did with the school district. So
that's insane. So I mean, there's just so much similarities. So when we were in Fort Worth, it was constant struggle. Speech therapists were getting moved. Then we go into COVID. I bring him to the private school I'm working at. So we're doing speech via Zoom. And then he's forgotten about because he's not at the school and stuff. And then we moved to Austin, and he's halfway through kindergarten. And at the end, they're like, we think he's dyslexic. And so we started, and I'm like, I did submit, he's been in speech, he's been in special ed. And they're like, oh my gosh, how did we miss this? Because we enrolled halfway through the year, and it's just snowballed into, he's dyslexic, he has dysgraphia, he's in Take Flight, which is reading intervention, he's got an occupational therapist, speech therapist, and then they wanted to get him testing for all the things. And I believe it was the end of last school year that we got an educational diagnosis for autism with him. So have you just done the educational? Did you do the medical side too?
So we originally started with just educational. But then I started, when I started looking for outside therapies, I was running into a lot of barriers. His pediatrician, when I said, hey, they diagnosed him as autistic at school, she's like, yes. She didn't argue. She's like, yes, that's great. Cool. And then we just kind of continued with that for a few years. And then his physical, because there's the gross motor skills. So it's the big motor skills, arms and legs and stairs and bicycles and that kind of thing. And then fine motor skills, which was the OT. And he was getting OT. He was doing okay. But his gross motor skills were falling really far behind. He was almost 7 years old. He couldn't walk upstairs. He would have to go step, 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 step. He couldn't, he was terrified to go downstairs. stepping on escalators was like I'd have to like just kind of pick him up and chunk him onto an escalator. Couldn't ride a bike. It was
mine refuses. He's like, I'm not a bike person, I'm a scooter person, but he still doesn't ride a scooter.
Yeah, no, he couldn't do any of it. Even tricycles, like he couldn't get the motions correct. And so I was like, okay, what else do I need to do? And that was where my advocacy really kind of started, because I was like, what else do I need to do? I knew I needed to do these things. Like there was all these steps you needed to do, but it's so overwhelming at first that you have to take a step back and like, okay, I have these things in place. Let's see how these work and where do I go from here? So I took him in for, I told my pediatrician I need to get a medical diagnosis. And she's like, well, I can't do that. It has to be through a neurologist, because the insurance wouldn't do physical therapy without a medical diagnosis. And then I took him in for a testing at the neurologist, and they're like, yes, definitely. And he needs to have an EEG. So they needed to do the brain scan, because I didn't know this at the time. 1 in 8 kids with autism has epilepsy. It's less than 1 in 100 in the general population.
Okay, this just blew my mind, because I just got diagnosed with epilepsy. So like, it's like nobody else in my family has it, or chronic my brain is spiraling right now.
that could be a whole other episode, guys.
But so we took him in, and they said, oh gosh, he's having multiple seizures a day. He was having absent seizures. They only last like 10 to 30 seconds. And they asked me, is he spacey? And I'm like, he's ADHD and autistic. Dude's super spacey. Yeah. Like he would be talking and he would just stop talking. He would be doing something and just stop doing it just for a second and then go back. And I didn't know if that was the ADHD or the autism or a combination or just who he was. And it turns out for like 5 years that I could recall, he's having multiple seizures a day. And so that's when some serious mom guilt set in, because it's like, how did I not know that this was happening to my child? And if I'd gotten the medical diagnosis earlier, would I have found out about this earlier? Would these physical symptoms have been as severe? Would these other symptoms have been as severe as they got if I had done this? What if I did this? What if, and at that point, like I kind of spiraled for a little while, because it's like, how did I miss this? How did I not know? How did this happen? But it's sad to say that because of the epilepsy diagnosis, we were able to get him a lot more help, because at that point, like immediately insurance approved physical therapy, occupation. We were going to 6 hours of therapy a week. So you do an hour of speech, OT, and then PT twice a week. He was at tier, and it was amazing. And he made so much progress. But even then, it's only 25 days a year with the epilepsy. And with autism, it was only 10 days a year. But they won't combine them. So it's only the 25 days per year that's covered by insurance. So.
What?
Yes. That's why we had to put all 3 in one day, because it's per day. And that's one thing you learn about the system, is how to go around that. Like, it's like, okay, can I get something else, some other weird therapy squeezed into today too? Because it's per day.
How much can I do in one day? How exhausting.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, there was a lot of bribery going on, a lot of food.
I should see you like, let me slide this money.
Which drive-through are we going to, son?
Can I bring you a cake?
Yeah.
That is insane.
Oh, so many Legos. I can't even tell you how many Legos.
I mean,
One thing I
Sorry.
wanted to say, no, sorry. One thing I wanted to say when you were talking about him going through seizures and not knowing, being myself just recently diagnosed unofficially epileptic. So it's not really on my medical, but they're like, it is. I have frontal lobe seizures where I stay aware the whole time. And I didn't know I was having seizures. I was like, why am I dizzy? And it was happening a lot to the point like I just didn't know. So how could anybody else know if I'm personally having them and I didn't know? Like I told my neurologist and she was like, let's get an EEG done. That doesn't sound right. And I did, and my electricity slows down in my brain. So that's where I get this like vertigo-y, like out of body like feeling. And it's 20 seconds, maybe tops. And now I'm on medication. I don't really have it anymore. But I would never have known that that's what it was if I didn't just bring it up to my doctor. I would have just been like, I get lightheaded. Weird. So so just as someone from that other side, like, I didn't even know.
And when I asked him about it, I'm like, so what happens? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, you just dropped your iPad. Like, what happened? It just happened. Like, for him, it's a jump. He doesn't remember it. So like,
okay,
he couldn't explain it to us.
He's not aware during it.
No, he's not.
Because I am.
No, he's not. Because like, it would be like one really vivid memory I had right after he was diagnosed with the epilepsy. We were still trying to get on the correct dosage of medication. Cause I mean, they taper it up and that's great. That's what I want. But we were at a park and we were playing Pokemon Go and he was walking around with his little iPad and I had my phone and he was behind me and I just hear his iPad hit the ground. And I turn around and I look and he's just standing there, like he's still holding it. And he's just standing there. And then he just like wakes up. He's like, I dropped my iPad. And I was like, you dropped your iPad like 10 seconds ago. And so noticing things like that was when I started to realize what those episodes were with him. I mean, I was a clumsy child. I don't think
I'm a clumsy adult.
You should. Oh, I fall down all the time. My legs are just bruised. Like it's
I have fallen downstairs multiple times.
How many times have you seen me in crutches?
I don't even. It just all blurs together.
I have like boots and the little like shoes.
But it's like I'm a clumsy child. I just thought maybe he was clumsy too. We knew he had some motor skills issues. Is it just the motor skills issues? Well, it was motor skills issue, but it was, electrical issues in his brain as well. God. So I mean, like I said, I kind of like had that mom spiral and guilt. And it's like, I wish I would have known to get this medical diagnosis sooner. I wish that I had known to get the EEG done. Autism has been a more prevalent conversation for a good 15 years now, and they are still putting pieces together. When he was young, he had issues with constipation. It was bad. We almost had surgery 2 separate times because he was so messed up. And it turns out it's a sensory issue. They don't always realize it. And then they don't go or they don't want to go. And so it becomes more of an issue because of autism. And also it has something to do with gut health because they are many kids with autism or people with autism are very particular about their foods and will only eat certain foods or eat the same 3 foods for most of their
That's my son's friends, like his friends that are autistic or have what is the eating where you are specific on texture. Both of them have that.
has the avoidance. I can't remember. There's so many
Sensory
words.
avoidant. Oh,
Yeah,
whatever that is.
yeah, that thing. But he definitely has issues with that too. Like, there's only certain brands of ketchup he will eat.
Listen, if you put Polynesian sauce on it, he will eat it.
So it's a struggle sometimes, but it all goes together too. Because like,
Yeah.
I know he doesn't get enough fiber, but he's not going to eat the things with fiber in it. So
It's doing the best.
wanna,
and what battle do we pick today?
Yeah.
I just want to like come to an Autism Speaks thing with you and like learn more, just because like GI issues, that's been him too. I've had a lot lately, like the eating particular, not really. He's like, I love sushi and soup dumplings. And I'm like, it's because you're a chef's kid, maybe. I don't know. But man, it's just I feel like I'm learning so much just in this short conversation we've had so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like so many people just don't know.
Yeah.
And
it's like you don't know, where do you go to get the information?
There are so many it's like there's so many organizations. There are so many organizations out there. And as a whole, a lot of them are starting to do a lot better job of sharing information and not like, oh, this is ours, this is mine. And my advice would be find a credible one that you like and work with them. All of them have hotlines and helplines, and use those resources because now, I mean, when Alex was first diagnosed, I was in school for biology. I wanted to be I wanted to do research and do all these things. I wasn't able to do that because I could no longer do brick and mortar, and biology is a lot of labs. And I just wasn't able to do that anymore. But I knew how to do proper medical research. Mommy blogs are great sometimes for advice, but also they can be
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, very divisive. They can have information that is not correct or part of the information on there. And so I turned to I did my research, and I turned to what were credible resources, journal reviews, and and I know that like that's not everybody's thing, but like if you go to these more prominent organizations, that's what they use.
And I'm going to stop interrupting you. I'm sorry. I know I can't stop this. This is like Michelle with
no, that's great. I love it because that's part of what it is. It's like getting the information out there, because like it's weird because like maybe girls mask so much differently than boys.
Yes.
And everything. And everything. Because like looking back now, I know as an adult I am ADHD, but as a child I was still definitely ADHD. Like it hasn't changed. That much of me hasn't changed. But my brother got diagnosed and my brother got medication and they did the stuff for him, but I was fine. She was fine. She's a girl. She's good.
You said earlier that when your son was going through therapy that he could only do 25 days. And that really struck me because like I want this to relate to everybody here, right? And if you think about it, like this is a very lame comparison, but I'm gonna compare it anyway. Like I have a vitamin D deficiency. That's like saying, oh, you can only take vitamin D 25 days a year, period.
Better take it during the winter and sit outside during the summer.
But I mean, like,
and that's all therapy. He definitely has anxiety, which is extremely common in autism. It can get really bad sometimes, like even a noise in the house. What was that? What happened? What was that? What's going on? It's like, it's okay. When we go to the grocery store, how many items are we getting? It's the grocery store. I'm going to be honest, I don't know. And it's all therapy. It's if I want to take him to see a therapist or any of these therapies, we would have to cram it all into one day to get the most out of it, which is not healthy for anyone, especially when he was like an 8-year-old child. Like, you go to 4 hours of therapy a day and see what kind of not happy person comes out of this or what you get out of it. Because by the time you get to the last 2 hours, you're already exhausted from whatever it was you were doing previously. So,
I'm just like, oh, well, you think about if you would be allowed to get the proper therapy, like that would actually cost less money in the long run. Because like that would actually benefit that person to be more, active and to know how to move about in a healthy way for them in the world and be more independent. And it's just wild that no, you just get 25 days. That's all we'll pay for. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So we talked about you learning about Alex's diagnosis. You talked about having mom guilt. What were the other mom fears after hearing the diagnosis?
Some of my biggest fears for him were what was his life going to look like. I didn't have a great understanding of it at the time. Institutionalizing wasn't a thing anymore, so I wasn't concerned about that as much. But especially as he got older, the gaps started to become more noticeable. And it's just, I want the best for him. I want him to be as independent as possible. I want him to have friends. I want him to be able to go out on his own. And my fears for him were not being able to do those things. I quickly got over that typical kid thing. He wasn't going to be, the poster boy, the typical kid that a lot of parents idealize and want their child to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's going to be his own person, and that's cool. We're all different, and he does his own thing, and he has a great time doing it. Alex has never let it hold him back. And so why should I put my thoughts of what he should be on him when he's living his best life? So he has his interests, and he is deep in those interests.
He's all, what are his big interests?
His biggest interest is Godzilla. He saw the 2014 movie. I mean, he was 4 years old at the time. And he just saw this cool Godzilla, and he wanted to learn everything about Godzilla. We now own every single Godzilla movie. People are like, what Godzilla should I get him? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll have to look, because we have all of them. All the comics, all the movies, all the books. He has this one like doctoral filmography dissertation on the Godzilla films, and he's read it multiple times. So he knows all of it. We've started going to conventions. Houston has an amazing anime convention, and we've gone to it the past 4 years because they had the Toho Godzilla store. And I am Godzilla's mom at the that's people like, oh, Godzilla's mom. Like if they see me without him now, because I let him walk around with a walkie-talkie. It's I'm comfortable with him being, on his own a little bit. He answers me. If he didn't answer me, it'd be a different story. But he walks around on his own, and like I'm walking around, and that's how people recognize me as Godzilla's mom, because he dresses up as Godzilla at the convention as well. So he has definitely found
I love it.
I love it so much. I'm so gonna start calling you that. I had no idea.
But he's gotten into anime and manga, and he really loves it. And that is a great little niche for him. And it's super creative, and he is super creative, and he comes up with all of these stories, and he wants to combine all of the stories that he reads, and he comes up with all these little worlds. And it's watching him do that kind of stuff is great, because he's living his life. He's having a great time. So
he advocates for his great time all the time. It's pretty funny. He's like, this is what's happening. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm down with that.
Oh, he is very good at giving directions.
He is. I was like, I wish I was this good at giving direction.
They're very clear and precise, because that's how he likes them.
Yes. What helps you? It's so debilitating hearing all this stuff about insurance and doctors and schools, and how much you've had to like fight your way through just for your own son. We haven't even gotten to your overall advocacy yet. But what helped you get from being stuck into moving into action?
I didn't want to be ignorant to his situation or anyone else's. I said earlier about educating myself. I was like, I love school. I'm that person. If I could be a lifelong college student and just take all these great college courses, that would be me. But you can't do that and like buy things.
And it's really annoying.
But I love
that should be a job.
It should.
I want to be a researcher one day when I grow up.
You should.
But
I approve that message.
But that was what it was. It was just the research and finding the things. Okay, finding what's going to help him, what's going to help others. How am I going to do this? If I had just sat there in my nothingness, that's not helping him. And that was my biggest thing, was helping him. I know I learned that from my mom. When I was 7 and my younger brother was 4, our dad was killed in a car accident. It was in April. My mom had quit her job in January of that year to go back to school. So we were suddenly without an income, and she's a college student with 2 little kids. And she didn't stop. We didn't stop doing things. We didn't stop going places. We didn't stop our lives. There was like a 2-week period that I remember that things were extremely different. We stayed at my grandma's house for a little bit, but once we got back to our house, my mom tried to make our lives as normal and ongoing as possible. And for my son, I wanted to do that. I don't shy away from going and doing things. Do they always work out? No. Are there times when we have drug a kicking and screaming small person or larger person now out of some place? Yes. But shying away and hiding and not doing anything about it isn't going to change the situation. And so moving forward and pushing through and learning what's best for him and me and everyone around us is just what kept me going and all of that.
We all have our moments, right, where we sit and we just need to pause for a second and, you know, let's be with the feelings and take it all in. But the fact that you just kept going, and your son is such a good resource. What were the first like big wins that you can remember, or even big or small, whatever, the first wins when advocating for Alex when you guys were in that time?
In the beginning, honestly, there didn't seem like a lot of wins.
Yeah.
The first 3-4 years was hard because we were very much struggling with that, the diagnosis and what therapies you could and couldn't have. I don't want to say getting diagnosed with epilepsy was a win, because that was when he started to get therapy.
That's
but that
part
was
of
our
your journey.
biggest win.
That's part of your journey
was getting that extra diagnosis. And that was as hard as it was a win, because finally I can do something about this. Change doesn't come quickly with insurance and legislative. That was the way we got our win. When I watched him walk up a flight of stairs, like just normal stair stepping, like I teared up, because he could walk upstairs now and he wasn't scared to do it. He was so scared of stairs and he could do it. And that was like one of those times. It was just finally seeing what was changing with him.
It's like you guys share those big wins together. Like he can feel it just as much as you can when you guys are going through it.
Yeah. When you talked about it was early on the codependency. Oh, I 100% know. I
yeah,
codependent with my child.
Yes.
But he needs me. I mean, I don't want to always be that way. I want him to be independent, but right now, like,
he's all you have. Like,
yeah, he didn't have a voice.
Yeah,
literally didn't have a voice for a while. And I want to make sure I'm that voice for him, but I also want to teach him to be that voice for himself.
Yeah.
And that's with some of the things that we've started doing recently. He is being his own voice. And that's the goal in the end. So
remind me, how old is your son now? Like we said,
15.
15. So you talked about codependency, and that's a huge thing, I think, for all parents that are going through any child that has any kind of developmental disabilities or whatever that looks like, or just children in general, let's be real. But so what did you have aha moments where you recognize like your own codependency, where you had to take a step back? That wasn't like, oh, this maybe isn't healthy. Maybe I need to redirect.
It was really hard for a while because I was a single parent. Yeah. His dad is a fun dad. He loves his dad. There's nothing wrong with his dad. He's just a fun dad.
Yep.
And I am not always the fun mom.
You can't be. Someone has to put the boundaries down.
With him, I've always known that it's there. He has, my son has an older half brother. He's 12 years older than him. He did Boy Scouts for a long time, and I was Scoutmaster at one point. And I would have to bring the infant/toddler at this point along with us. And I didn't always trust other people to watch him. And that was partly me and partly him and partly just, yeah, I was like, well, what if they don't do this? And what if they don't do this? And what if they don't do this? And it's like, he'll be okay. But I didn't want to let that control go. My mom was the only person that, if he was there, I was cool. Like if he was there, I was fine. I wouldn't worry or anything like that. If he was with any other babysitter, I was like, what's going on? What's happening? And like texting them 1,000 times. And like I said, I always kind of knew I was codependent. So it was never an aha moment. It was always like,
it was always there.
I was always there.
Yeah. What do you do to fill your own cup now?
I have started getting back into reading. I'm on Book Talk. I do.
Yeah, you're perking up right now. You have no idea.
I read my mom books.
Yeah,
Art smut.
Yes. So,
yes.
Because I mean, I love my volunteering that I do, but that is for him as well. That is not, well, like I enjoy it and I do get gratification out of it, but that is not just for me. No, the reading is definitely just for me.
Nice.
You need something just for you, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You do,
But-
for sure. Have you hit like burnout moments? Can you talk about that at all?
It's weird the way it hits you. Like you're going just fine, everything's great. One little bitty thing happens, you take out that one little bitty block, and then the whole thing just crumbles down. When my son's having a meltdown, I am calm, cool. I can get through it. Everything's great. I calm him down, do what needs to be done, get him settled, and then I just go to another room and collapse. When I compare or see the differences between Alex and peers his age, that is one of the rougher times. I really try. He is his own person. We shouldn't compare ourselves or him or anyone else to each other, but we still do it. I mean, we all do it. And seeing those gaps or knowing he wants to do something and he might not be able to do it. He wants to be a vet. That is his dream. He's not good at testing. It's not, he can't sit down that long and focus that long to do those things. And so that might not be something he is able to do one day because of the limitations from his disability. And it sucks for him. And it's moments like that it's just, and then, or just something small. He does something that a 15-year-old boy normally wouldn't do, but it is something that he does. And it's just moments like that I just, and sometimes I just brush them off and it's fine. And then sometimes it's just, it's too much.
Yeah.
It just builds up and then the tidal wave hits and I can't stop thinking about the differences. And I know I shouldn't, and I still do. And you cry it out. And my poor current husband's like, what do you need? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I have a water and some tissues.
Pint of ice cream.
I know I shouldn't do it. And I compare him. And that's when I have the biggest breakdowns because we all want what's best for our kids. I never saw my life like this. And it's not that it's bad, but this just wasn't what I pictured.
Yeah.
And so when it's not that idealized thing that you had in your brain for 20 years, the reality of it hits. And sometimes it's just, it gets you.
Yeah.
I love him. I love my life.
Yes.
But yeah, it's that idealized life that really nobody has. We're all keeping up with the Joneses, but I don't know where they are. So
I think that like, because I've had a lot of discussions with parents being, volunteering at Autism Speaks and hearing their stories of, we all, when we were growing up, you imagine your wedding, you imagine, having children, you imagine what your house looks like, playing catch in the yard and the dog barking and all the things, right? Because we were told like, oh, if you work hard enough, all of your dreams will come true. And so you get there and you're like, all right, this is my moment. Like, this is the time. And then I've had conversations with fathers who've been like, I thought I was going to be able to play catch with my son and I can't. And that's not his fault. I don't want that to come across at all. It's, I want to capture a parent's experience here. And that, sometimes I don't care. Like every single parent in the world can relate to, oh, I thought I was going to have this type of experience as a parent, and it's not what I thought it was. And so I think everybody can relate to that. But when you have, I even hate saying it, like you say children with, or a child with disabilities, I don't even like that. Like, it's not even that. Like, the world is more difficult for your son because we haven't done enough to learn about him and learn about how, everybody can thrive in this world and hit their full potential. We haven't. So I'm sorry, I just got on a soapbox, y'all. Jeez.
I've been there.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
But I think, is that kind of switching gears to, you're now a full-flown advocate. Like, you are talking to lawmakers and doing the things. Like, now I'm fueled. Like, is that what fueled you as going and taking it another step further? And how do you balance it with, your life now?
I want to find a way to make things more equal for him and others. It shouldn't be this huge disparity. It shouldn't be this, I don't even know how to say it. Yeah. And one thing that I've come across is a lot of parents don't like, I don't want that label because then they're less than. Well, they're not less than. This just shows they see things or they learn things differently. And we just need to figure it out. We need to do what's best for them. They all have special interests. They all have something they're good at. And I know that's cliche too. Like, everybody has something they're great at. But they do. And it might not be what you think. I worked as a special education teacher for several years. And I had one girl who could alphabetize like nobody's business. That girl was fast. I could alphabetize that fast.
Yeah.
And girl was good. She was amazing. And it's like, can't we find something that she can do? Sorting or something? Like, she'd be amazing at that. Like, find her a job if she wants one. Like, let's do what's best for her. My son loves animals, which is why he wants to be a vet. His dream is to work at the zoo and work with all the different animals. And he can do it. We just need to find the right pathways to get him there. And there are so many barriers in the way. And it's like, why do these barriers need to be there? Why are we discriminating basically against these people who have done nothing wrong? There's nothing wrong with them.
No.
These barriers need to be out of the way.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of what drove me to do it and become more involved, because both as a teacher and a parent, I have seen what these barriers can do to people. And it's just like, they don't need to be there. The lack of protection too that's another.
I think as women, we see that side and resonate it a lot with it, because I grew up where I twisted myself into a pretzel because I thought, I'm going to be pleasing to others. And I like it when people smile around me, and I like that people like me. And people who are on the spectrum, they don't have that sense. So it's like, going through typical society, and having someone with autism there, it's like a ton of bricks. It's like, I always say a ton of bricks. Can I stop saying that, by the way?
Would you please?
I'm really tired of that phrase. But it just comes like a smack in the face. It's just like, whoa, this is not how I normally interact with someone. They usually don't tell me like it is. They're not completely, and that's what I love about, I think, being a part of the autism community and interacting with the parents and the kids, because it's real. There's no faking it. Like nothing.
I'll walk out of the, like, I'll be getting ready in the morning and I'll come out of my room and he'd be like, what are you wearing? I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Is that how you turn your passion into like broader advocacy? And how did it come about? Like, I'm sure, as all things do, that just falls in your lap, right? Like, come on.
So in my quest to learn all the things, Autism Speaks was one organization I became very, very involved with. And then there was also Autism Society of Texas. They also have a helpline. They have a lot of great resources. At the time, they had more, because it's Autism Speaks is a nationwide organization. They have the resources locally, but they were sometimes harder to find. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, Autism Society of Texas had the more Texas stuff and Texas disabilities and Texas this, which is a lot of things I needed information about for Medicaid and things like that. And so I had started following them on Facebook, and like they would pop up occasionally, and I'd already gotten really involved with Autism Speaks, so I was not looking for anything else. I was overly involved. So I couldn't say no because I wanted to do these things. I wanted to help. And like, for me, it was like, it's not like I'm over, it's like doing too much. I'm just doing what needs to be done. And this thing just popped up one day on Facebook, and it was Advocacy at the Capitol Day. And I was like, man, advocacy is always something I've really wanted to become more involved with. Autism Speaks, like I said, is more nationally. They have this great national day where you go to you go to Washington, D.C., and you do all these things. And I've always wanted to go, but financially it wasn't feasible. And so I was like, okay, cool. This is something local. I can drive to Austin. Like, I got this. So it was in March, end of March, beginning of April. So it was right around Autism Awareness Day this year. I decided to just do it, just go. And I took Alex with me because, I mean, he was almost 15 at the time. Like, he needs to be involved with this. His voice needs to be heard too. And I want him to use his voice. I want him to learn to use his voice. And so we just went, and it was a great experience. And I learned a lot more about the laws and advocacy and things that were going on than I knew before. And especially with education and disability rights and things, a lot of that is state. A lot of it is state. And so if we're not involved on the state level, then we're not going to see a lot of the changes that we want to see. And so it just started that day. And then by May, I was speaking in front of the state education committee.
That escalated quickly.
Wow. Yeah. Right.
That's how I went to one meeting for Autism Speaks, and then the next meeting I was walk chair. So
I get you.
I'm really good at that. Just ramp it up really fast.
Here to here.
Yeah.
0 to 60 immediately.
Yes.
I love that you brought Alex with you, and I love that you wanted him to see an example of how to raise your own voice. I think that's incredibly important. I think, parents can go into protective mode, and I'm going to do all the things and keep you in a safe bubble back here while I go out and fight all the fights. But he's right. I mean, we've done media together, and he's right there next to us, and I think that's incredibly important because they're the ones going through it, and they can explain it like nobody else. And I learned something new every single time I talk, to Alex, even like I learned something new that I didn't think of before. And so I think it's just incredibly important. So if someone wanted to become an advocate, what do you so there's an advocacy day. Is that what you're saying for Texas?
Yes,
Okay.
for Texas.
Okay.
It's through Autism Society of Texas. It's their advocacy day. Other groups might have other days. That's just the day they choose. And in Austin, like, as I learned, there's groups there were several groups there that day, and there's always several groups there every day. And since Texas only meets once every other year, to me, those days are more important because there's fewer of them. And to get your voice heard, you really have to speak up. I mean, the next time we go, Alex will be almost 17. And self-advocacy to me is more important than being a parent advocate. He's the one living this. He is the one going through it. He is the one that is, I mean, yeah, I'm affected by it, but he is greatly affected by all of these things. And so it's important that there are self-advocates out there to their stories, because everybody's different. Everybody has a different journey, and there's no getting your story across, all the different stories across, or what's going to make a difference, make a change. Him going into the offices and speaking to these representatives and senators, they were surprised that he was there. And they're like, and all of them are like, oh, I'm so glad you came out today.
What does he learn from self-advocacy, would you say? Because it's still very new to him, it seems like.
So he didn't speak before the committee, but he spoke to a lot of senators, and he told his story, which is, it's a rough story about something that happened to him at school. And he learned that other people will listen to him. That the one lady commented, she's like, "I'm so sorry that happened to you. This needs to be fixed." We left one representative's office because she was like on the phone, and we went in and spoke to her aides and told them, why we were there, gave them all the information and spoke to them for a minute. And, they thanked us like they always do. And we were going to go off to the next office, and we walk out of the hallway, and her aide comes back out. They're like, "Hey, can you come back? She wants to speak to you. She heard you talking." And so Alex told his story again to the representative, and she talked to him like, not like a child, not like, "Oh, poor little buddy." She spoke to him, and he was like, "Wow, she really talked to me. She really listened to what I had to say." And even in those couple days, he's like, "That person didn't listen to us." And I'm like, "No, that person didn't really listen to us." And he's like, "Oh, that person really cares. They listen to us." And he was able to kind of differentiate who he felt was listening and on our side. And him getting to see that people did listen to him was huge, and made him realize that Mom wasn't just dragging me along in this button-up, uncomfortable shirt because whatever. That it was important for him to be there and to tell his story, that his story meant more coming from him than it did from me. He was in 8th grade, and he has a behavioral intervention plan. It's part of his individualized education plan, his IEP. He has a BIP. It's there. You know the rules. I know the rules. I'm a teacher. I help set the rules. But I also have always made sure he knows his BIP. He knows what his supports are, what he's supposed to get, so that he understands that when these things start happening, we're trying to help him. We're trying to help him find his center again, basically, because he's having a meltdown or something is happening. His teacher, he is a teacher and aides in the room. He was in inclusion classes, but he had a home base, basically. He was in his little home base room, and his teacher was out of the room, but there were aides in the room. It wasn't a non-supervised situation. But something started to happen. He started to have a meltdown. They placed him in the sensory room, which is where he's supposed to be. But in the sensory room, he's supposed to have a manipulative. He had this really big bean bag that he could play with and just kind of help him get all his little anxiety and anxiousness out.
Yeah.
An assistant principal was in the room and told him he could not have it. And he needed to sit down and calm down because that works, right? And stood in the doorway. So he's in this, it's not a big, it's like a big closet, but it is meant to separate him. So he doesn't break things. He doesn't hurt himself. He doesn't hurt other people. Like it wasn't the room's issue, but he is standing over him basically in the doorway, telling him to stop. Okay. Alex started to yell, I get my beanbag. I want my beanbag. It's in my bib.
He knows.
Yelled.
He knows.
I mean, he yelled, it's in my bib. And the AP refused to let him out of the room to get it. And so Alex pushed past the principal to get his beanbag, and he went back to the room. But when Alex pushed past him, he pushed him, and that's considered assault. So they brought the police in. They threatened to have him arrested. They weren't following his bit. Yeah, they're like, oh, well, things escalated. Yeah, because you weren't following the plan in place that you put in place. So we were arguing about the discipline bill because there was a recent discipline bill that passed with amendments that we fought for. But those amendments were not originally in this bill. And so we were there to speak about the need for these amendments for special education students. But I mean, they threatened to arrest an 8th grader because he pushed past somebody who was not following the rules set in place by the school.
I love that he's like, no, he pushed past, got what I need.
I'm getting
back in the room. He's like, this is how it's done, guys. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he knew what he was supposed to have.
Yeah.
This was 4 days before spring break of his 8th grade year, because I had to go pick him up from school that day. And then they suspended him out of school suspension for 3 days, because that is the minimum for assaulting a educator. As an educator, I get that. But also as you were assaulted, pushed. My son is not a large person. He's not a strong person. He's in physical therapy for a reason. This person pushed past you because you weren't following what was already in place. It wasn't that he didn't have those protections. He had those protections, but you weren't following them, but he is still punished for you breaking the rules, basically. Like it was the whole situation. If I could have homeschooled him those last like 9 weeks of school, I would have, but I was not in that situation at the time. I knew he was moving schools. And so my goal at that point was just stay calm and get out.
Had you guys had issues with that AP before?
Not with the AP. We'd had some issues at the school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, because the district he was in, those 3 grades are together, because all the districts are a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So 6th and 7th grade, he had a teacher that came from a different setting into being a teacher, and I did not agree with some of the things she was doing. We live in a affluent school district. It's very cookie cutter, very fit inside this box.
Yeah. And
Alex does not fit inside that box. You can take your box and chunk it because he doesn't fit in it at all. The district that I teach in it's not that it's less affluent, but it has more of a, we call it CTE, career and technical education focus. And that is 100% better for him. because they can find their own, not even a box. They can find their own little shape wherever, whatever their shape is.
Yeah.
It's Godzilla shaped in my house. So
Hey. They can find their own Godzilla. I love it.
he's taking like small animal classes and like these little classes that are going to prepare him for what he wants to do. And I love where he's at now. I mean, I work there, so I love it, but but it has been a lot better for him as well. And like I said, my students will rat on him if he does something, and they will also be like, "Miss, this person is messing with him, and we're going to take care of it." It's like, no, you don't take care of it. I got this. It's adorable to see. I feel like where he is now, it's not as much. It's in that affluent district. It was more of a competition.
Yeah.
And there, it's not as much of a competition, and it's a lot more open-minded, I guess, when it comes to kids with different abilities.
It's almost like he has a community.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's definitely found his little niche at that school. There's an anime club. He loves it. Yeah.
Right.
We have an anime and a D&D club, and yeah. Yes.
I want to go to this school. Where was this school when I was going? Oh my gosh. I love that he found his community. And I was thinking back also, you went to the last 9 weeks of school. You just keep your head down and you go. Was he afraid to go back to that school, or like, what was the repercussions of that?
He was a little at first. He's like, I don't want to get in trouble again. I don't want to get sent. He loves school. He's told me he loves school. Yeah, missing those 3 days of school was devastating for him. He'll go to school when he doesn't feel good. If he tells me he's sick, there's something up. But he wasn't excited about going back. The first week or two, he's already very anxious, and it just made him more anxious. And I'm worried. I'm being anxious at work because I'm like, am I going to get a phone call? Because it was just too much for him. He's like, I'm going to do what they say. I'm not going to do it. I'm like, buddy, that wasn't your fault. Like, it's not you. I'm not mad at you. This was not a you situation. Like, this is not, you need to, it's okay. He did just, I felt like he kept his head down and just got through it as well, because he didn't have any more issues that year. But he also wasn't as excited about going to school, which was sad because he loves school. He loves going and interacting with people. Even if it's just a social aspect. he likes going.
He was labeled in that scenario as assaulting that person. But my mind keeps going back to not following protocol is literally assaulting him mentally in his mind.
Yeah. They didn't care. And when I told my boss why I was like, hey, I have to go. Something happened at school. I didn't know the whole situation when I left my job that day. I was like, I got to go. My mom stayed home. My mom was also a teacher. She stayed home with him those 3 days for the suspension. But when I got back to my job, I told my boss what happened. He's like, do I need to go up there and talk to someone? Because he was like, what did you do? And I was like, I kept my cool because I didn't want to lose my mind on these people, because I wouldn't have a situation for my son for the next 9 weeks.
Yeah.
When I told my boss what happened, he was like in shock, and he's like, and they still suspended him. Like, I don't understand this situation. It's like, I don't either. But I also know fighting a school district on something like that is it. Maybe if he had been like charged or arrested or something, that would have been a very different situation.
Right.
They did threaten it, which scared him because there's always the stories out there of what happens with kids with autism and police.
Yes.
And so I've always tried to tell him, the police are there to help you. Well, this situation did not help that narrative at all. And like even my boss was just like, I can't believe this happened. Like, are you going to do anything? And it's like, I have 9 weeks left at this district. I'm not going to fight anything. It's not worth my sanity. It's not worth the arguing and the anxiety that's going to come with it to fight this at this point, because I already know I have an exit. It's already there. It's laid out. If he was going to be staying in that district for whatever reason, then it would have definitely been a different situation. But at that point, it was just keep your head down till we can get out of this.
My mom's a teacher, so I also grew up, as a child of an educator. I've had, I work in schools now, even though I'm a culinarian, but some of like these stories about the power trip, I guess, almost, it brought me back to when my daughter, she turns 21 on Wednesday. What the hell? How old am I? I'm old. Yeah.
I knew her when she was a baby.
Yes.
Like,
so
newborn.
In elementary school, she had sprained her finger. I have had so many sprained fingers in my entire life that it's like, I know what to do. You tape them together, or you get a splint, or you do this. Like, the doctors don't do things for a sprained finger. And so we did, I think I taped them together, or I got her, I don't remember which one I did. And she went to school and it was still hurting because obviously it's a sprain. It's a little swollen. Went to the nurse. The nurse took off what we did something completely different. And then told us that if we didn't take her to the emergency room to get checked out, she was going to call CPS on us. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? What about my daughter spraining a finger and me treating it the same way a doctor would? Makes it okay for you to try to call CPS on us. Those are the moments that blow my fucking mind. And I don't have that extra level of, her having autism on top of that and her not, I just can't even imagine that moment for you as a mom going through that with him.
When I got to the school, he was in an office, he's just sitting there in a conference room at the table, upset. The cop is standing there in the room with him because the cop wouldn't leave the room because he assaulted someone. And they're talking to me in the hallway, and I'm like, can I get in there? I need to go. You can tell me this whole little story that you want to tell me later. There's cameras. We'll figure it out. The truth anyway. So can you just let me go see my kid? Because he is I can see him through this window and he is visibly upset. I don't care what he did. I don't care if he did purposely punch anybody at this point. He is visibly upset. We can talk about this in a minute.
Yeah.
And no repercussions came to that educator for.
Nope. I filed a complaint. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
They'll investigate.
Has he had issues with maybe police since then too?
He's a little more nervous of them, but the cops at the school that I'm currently, because it's a high school, there's cops there.
Yeah.
It's high school. There's a police officer there.
Yeah.
They're super nice guys.
Good.
And I made sure to introduce him to them, and he has kind of gotten to know them. And so he's more comfortable with cops again. But especially he has the most interesting memory. He remembers everything. Everything. It's like, hey, why aren't you wearing that purple dress that you wore 6 years ago? It's like, what? If we ever saw, he would recognize that police officer if he saw him again.
Yeah.
And it would probably, with the way he is, it would bring back everything. I mean, and with this, to me, the schools are so weird too, like what you said, because like, okay, so in elementary school one day, he was getting off the daycare van and he fell. It was a seizure. I know it was a seizure. They're like, it was weird. He was just standing, and the next thing you know, he was lying on the ground. I'm like, yeah, that was a seizure.
Yeah.
I told y'all, like, he has a seizure action plan thing. But he hit his face. He had this big bruise and this little cut on his face. Nobody about daycare or school. Nobody bothered to call me. This happened at the beginning of the day. Nobody bothered to say anything. Okay, I picked him up and I'm like, what is wrong with your face? Like, what happened? And he's like, I don't remember. Because it was a seizure, so he doesn't remember the.
Yeah. And then you're like, who does? Like, what? Who can tell me what happened?
Like, the school assumed the daycare was going to say something. The daycare assumed the school was going to say something. And so nobody said anything. And I was just like, okay, thanks, guys. If he had just showed, I was honestly surprised his teacher didn't ask me about it. Because I loved his elementary school teacher. She was amazing. She helped him so much. I was honestly surprised she didn't email me and go like, what happened? When he broke his arm, he fell down, landed directly on his elbow. And he got a hairline fracture on his elbow. And he was like, he got up and kept playing soccer. And a little while later, he was like, my elbow hurts. And I was like, well, can you move it? And he could move it. And then it was like an hour or so later, he's like, Mom, my elbow really hurts. And I was like, well, if you're saying your elbow hurts, it must be pretty bad. So let's go to the ER.
Oh, that is, yeah. You don't even think about that because like kids with sensory issues, like they don't even know what they're feeling. They don't even know really what they're thinking. They don't have time to sit back and be like, okay, let me check in with myself. Like they're just honestly trying to pass in the day, you know? And yeah, that's wild. You mentioned that the previous school was very cookie cutter and the school that you teach at and that he's at now is different. And the more you said something to the effect of instead of like doing what's right for the school, kind of doing more what's right for the kid. But I had a thought immediately when you said that. It was when you do right by the kid, they actually exceed and do more for the school. Like it's just
they're happier. They're not masking. They're living up to their actual potential, not what somebody else, someplace else, some other building thinks they should be.
Yeah.
And it's
hard. You're a teacher. You know how hard, like how many students do you have in your class? I mean, you have a different school, but.
Total, I have, let's see, 6 classes, an average of about 20, 22-ish kids a class. So.
Right. So I have
100.
Yeah. I have
30 kids.
Yeah. I have a couple stepbrothers and they talk about how in some schools they've had 50 kids and there wasn't even enough desks in the room for all of them. And I don't want to sit here and be like, this is the school's fault. This is the teacher's fault. They should know better. Like the system is broken overall across the board. So with that, what would you do to fix it? I just came up with that question, by the way.
Education. Fixing education is the district that I'm in now. I really love our model. Our kids have a lot of choices. And they get to make that choice. Do you want to take CTE classes? Do you want to do welding or auto mechanics, or, do you want to do dual credit and get some college credits out of the way? Do you, what do you want to do? Yeah, there are classes that everybody has to take. Sorry, kids, you're gonna take your core classes, and there's no getting out of algebra, guys. Sorry.
Shucks.
But they have a ton of options, and they get to make that decision. And yeah, I mean, you have your parents and you have your teachers with their input, but college isn't for everybody.
No.
Like, it just isn't. And being able to, and the previous district he was in, that was the goal, was college. There was one high school in the district that focused on CTE, and there was not a whole lot of programs in the rest of the high schools. I mean, they all have some programs, but not to the extent of where I work currently.
And what is,
and
just to clarify,
that's the career and technical education.
Okay.
So that is auto or ag or all that kind of stuff. We have a specialized high school that the kids can go to, where they learn plumbing and HVAC and culinary and vet tech and cosmetology and paralegal. Like, they can learn all these things and be able to have these skills when they leave high school. And that gives them a start that they need. Everybody needs to be able to do what they have more of a passion about, because then you will be more successful at what you do.
You're bought in every day.
Yeah. Did I want to do, like, teaching is my second career. Did I want to do my first career? Not really, but it's just where I was at the time. And so that's where I was.
How do you get into a school like that? Like, I've always seen them, but I'm like, is it public? Is it private? Is it like, how do you get in?
Our district is, I mean, we are a public district. We actually have open enrollment, so other kids can like come to our district, which they do. So we have our like main high schools, and then the technical high school, you have to apply. There's only a certain number of spots per programs, and they look at things not even as much at grades, because a lot of these kids, like, you might be a great electrician, but your grades aren't great, and that's fine. They look more at things like attendance and discipline and things like that. So that's a great thing that they have. And then the regular classes that you can take at the schools like that, there's no requirements for those, except for if you need a prerequisite of some sort. So they get to experience those things. And then maybe you get into the healthcare classes and realize, I do not want to do this.
Yeah.
Well, you learned that at 16 instead of 24 after you've paid for all this schooling, and now you're kind of stuck there for a while, because what else are you going to do and make money and be able to support yourself?
Thank you for listening to Use Your Fear podcast. Oh, great.
You can watch full episodes on YouTube, listen on all major podcast platforms, and support us on Patreon for additional cutting room floor footage. Follow us on all social media and visit our website at useyourfear.com to connect. Or if you've got a fear story to share, we'd love to hear from you. Please share and support so we can continue to have these meaningful conversations, so others know they aren't alone.
Have a great day. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.